Hot greetings from Imola. We are here in Italy, ready for the third race weekend of the season. We're absolutely thrilled to be here. It is gorgeous around here. It's a very tricky and challenging racetrack. And of course, also the heat is going to play a very, very vital role this weekend. And the man who managed to secure pole position is René Rast. And René, today I think you've got your 21st pole position in your career. So now the question, of course, is are you going to manage to hopefully get a victory? Because that obviously will bring you a lot forwards in the championship.
Obviously, that's the ultimate goal, to win here, but it's going to be a hard one. Obviously, temperatures are quite high. Start, pit stop, tire management will be important, like always. I mean, you know it already. But yeah, nothing has changed, so obviously I try to win. And we found out basically 2017 I had my first podium at Lausitzring, and straight after I had my first pole position in Budapest. So now we have the same constellation like 2017, so hopefully that's a good omen.
All right, and speaking of heat, I know that you do actually have an air conditioning. So the question is, are you going to use it and risk perhaps a bit of less performance, or are you going to see how it goes?
Probably as a start I won't use it because it drags a bit power away. But maybe let's see how the race evolves. Maybe I will switch it on at one point if it gets too hot. But obviously we all try to minimize the power loss, so let's see.
All right, we'll see. Well, best of luck for the race. And now for the moment, here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Welcome along, everybody, then, to Imola, the third weekend of DTM 2022. I'm Chris Hartley. I'll talk you through all the action in our first 55-minute plus one lap encounter. René Rast absolutely mighty. A really good qualifying session earlier on today. We had 4 different pole sitters for the final 55 seconds of the session, but it was René that got there by just over a tenth of a second, as Verena said, to get his 21st pole position. And what he was referring to there was the fact that he was on the podium for the first time this season, last time at the Lausitzring, and he then follows that up with his first pole position of the year. 5 qualifying sessions and 5 different pole sitters so far this year. Nico Müller, though, pushing in close in qualifying, and a phenomenal effort from Thomas Pring, who qualified third in the first season for him and for the team. Timo Bernhard's Team Bernhard's team, who run Tommy in the Porsche, and I spoke to him after qualifying and he said it was an absolutely maximum lap, that we've got nothing left to give. That was the perfect lap. So we need a little bit more if we're going to fight for pole positions and race wins on a regular basis, because that's as quick as I can go. But great effort from the young Austrian to be there third on the grid behind the 2 very experienced men. René Rast looking for his 25th career victory later on today if he can, and Nico Müller, and Tommy Pring, and another one with the best qualifying so far this season, Clement Schmidt. Great job in the GRT Grasser Racing machine, despite missing free practice 2 yesterday after it had a tyre blowout, which was pretty spectacular at Tamburello in free practice 1 yesterday. Riccardo Feller, equaling his best qualifying of the season, will start just behind in 5th place, and Kelvin Van Der Linde will start in 6th place after a 10-place grid penalty for Mirko Bortolotti put the Italian back from 6th to 16th. Right, let's head back down onto the grid now and back to Verena.
And I'm here with the man who's starting in P2, that is Nico Müller. Nico, you seem to be very cool. You already said you will see if you're going to use air conditioning or not. Yeah. Now, the last race weekend, you didn't finish one of the races and the other one was P5. So now starting from P2, I guess good chances to do better than back then.
For sure, yeah, the goal has to be to win the race when you're starting on the front row. Will not be easy at all because overtaking here in Imola is challenging. So obviously, you know, first row is good, but you would love to be on the other side of the first row because turn 1 goes to the left. But I'll try my best, you know, put them under pressure and see what we can do.
Or just overtake him right away.
Sounds easy, a bit, you know, less easily done, but you know, we'll for sure try. Yeah.
You'll do your best, I'm sure. Best of luck, Nico.
Thanks.
See you later. Back to you.
Yeah, Nico, one of our 3 different race winners so far this season, but consistency in this year's championship has been hard to come by for almost everybody. So Nico has had a win, yes, a 5th place, pretty good, but also 2 non-finishes. So he's only finished half the races in the points this season, yet he's 4th place in the championship. There's Marco Vitterman, who's had his equal best qualifying. He'll start 7th on the grid. Kelvin Van Der Linde will be ruining 6th place. It's his best starting grid of the year, but the driver that finished 3rd in last year's championship had a spin on his hot lap. He got back going again. That was at Variante Alta, but he got back going again and was on a good lap on his next lap, but the tyres just ran out of life, so he lost time in the final sector. So I think there is a driver that could well be on the front row of the grid had he not had that moment, because he was quickest in 1 free practice session yesterday and 2nd in the other. Riccardo Feller is starting to get his feet under the table at Sportsline in and amongst his two very experienced teammates, Kelvin Van Der Linde and especially René Rast, the three-time champion. But this 22-year-old only just turned 22 a few days ago. He's already got 6 years GT experience behind him, and he's a driver that is getting better and better all the time in DTM. So watch for Riccardo. He was up there pushing hard, but the one driver that fell down the equation, he qualified 6th, was, as I mentioned, Mirko Bortolotti. A 10-place grid penalty because unfortunately the team registered the wrong barcodes for the tyres in free practice. So he's got work to do. Let's head back now to Verena.
And I'm here with Mirko Bortolotti, the local hero. First you were starting in P6, but unfortunately due to a wrong set of tires you guys used, you're now in P16. So how tough is it going to be for you?
It's definitely not going to be easier. So it's going to be quite tough, I think, especially on this track where overtaking is almost impossible. But yeah, never say never. We will try to do the best from there and see where we end up.
And also I heard that some of the guys have a choice, but you don't have air conditioning in your car.
No, but we have a good cooling in the Lambo, so we're used to that already, and it's not a big deal. As I said, I only use air condition on the motorway. I don't need it on the racetrack.
All right, best of luck for the race, Mirko. Thank you so much. And now we're going to see over there a familiar face who's actually got his guest start here this weekend, and that is Timo Glock. So let's try to grab him. He's just talking to Philip Eng, but I need to be rude and just to quickly interrupt. Sorry, Philip. Good to see you again. You're here.
Good to see you, yeah.
Good to see you. So, I mean, you know Imola because as a former Formula One racer, obviously you know the track very well. You're starting a bit far behind, but nonetheless you know the track, so what's in it for you?
I mean, first of all, I had to update myself in terms of the rules because I was not on top of the starting rules anymore. I thought they were different, but doesn't matter. Actually, I was the last time here in 2006, so the track was slightly different. It's quite a long time because in my Formula One time we didn't race here, but it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end, the track, you know, is good fun. I know roughly what to do, but I think it was clear for us as a group, as a BMW group, that we're not going to be right at the front. And for us, of course, I mean, as a new team, you know, together with Roberto Avalia, have zero experience on the Michelin tire. We had half a day of testing, one set of tires, so you know there was not much expectation. So and I think where we are at the moment is not a bad position for our first DTM race together.
But being back in the DTM, how does that feel?
Oh, it's great. I mean, you know, as soon as you walk in the paddock, you realize how competitive this is here, and every detail counts at the end. So. It's 28 or 29 cars on the grid, more than 20 cars in 1 second. That shows everything.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're going to have fun nonetheless, and you go for it, Timo. Thank you so much. And now it's time to get racing. So here's your commentator, and do enjoy the hot race.
Yeah, it will be, won't it? Thanks very much, Verena. Great to see Timo Glock back with us. He was in the championship last year, of course, but he had a really tough year with Rover Racing as teammate last year to Shelton Vanderlinder. Only finished 17th in the championship, which was his worst since he came into DTM back in 2013. It was only a couple of years ago that he was 5th in the championship in 2020, and he's racing the Italian GT Championship this year with Giotto Racing, who are running him here this weekend as a one-off. So Shelton Vanderlinder, 66 points after his 2 wins at the Lausitzring last time out. Mirko Bortolotti, 16th on the grid. He's 2nd in the championship with 51. Lucas Auer, 48 points. And then Nico Muller just behind on 40, having picked up those 2 championship points for qualifying 2nd on the grid. René Rast picked up 3 points for qualifying on pole position. And Tommy Priding got his first ever DTM championship point earlier on today by qualifying in the top 3. So great to have Timo Glock back on the grid, as I say, racing in the Italian GT Championship this year with Giotto Racing. And he is with a bit of work to do here, but I'm sure he'll try and come forward because he's not worried about championship points, is he? The team that he's with, by the way, run by Roberto Avalia, who was a former DTM champion, the first ever Italian to win DTM title in 1989. Helmets now getting on then for the drivers. It's going to be up to 60 degrees, maybe even towards 70 degrees in the cockpits of those cars. The sweat will pour, the blood will thicken, the heart rates will pound. This is going to be a real physical test for our drivers today. Welcome to Imola, with records dating back all the way to 82 BC. It's an historic and a picturesque city nestled in the Emilia-Romagna region of northern Italy, about 40 kilometres from Bologna. The city started out as an agricultural and trading centre before becoming famed for its ceramics, the old town filled with piazzas and quaint, narrow streets. The most imposing building is the Rocca Sforzesca, a fortress which dates all the way back to the 13th century. The racetrack is within the city, the adjacent Acqua Minerale Park, a memorial there to a racing legend, three-time world champion Ayrton Senna, who tragically killed here in 1994. In 1980, the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari hosted its first World Championship Formula One Grand Prix, and in 2022, for the first time ever, it welcomes DTM. Here we go then, set for the first race of the weekend. The air temperature, as you can see, is almost 32 degrees. The track temperature, is pushing up towards 50 degrees and it's getting hotter and hotter all the time. It's 4.9 kilometres around a lap of Imola. It's also, as if it wasn't a test enough for the drivers' physicality this weekend, an anti-clockwise circuit, so they've got the heat to deal with. It's extremely humid as well, and they've also got to try and deal with using different neck muscles than they normally would, because they're going in an anti-clockwise direction, where of course most circuits are the other way around. There is the ITR chairman, Gerhard Berger, not the only ex-Formula One driver on the grid this weekend. We've already heard from Timo Glock, of course. But we've also seen on the grid before we came on air Riccardo Patrese. It was fantastic to see Riccardo. I haven't seen him for a while. The Formula One World Championship runner-up to Nigel Mansell when the pair raced for Williams back in 1992, and a winner here at San Marino in the 1990 Grand Prix. So a fantastic venue to come to this. The drivers all looking forward to it. Many of them haven't raced here before. That man is one of them. All of his experience, but René Rast has never raced here at Imola before, tested at the start of the year, but in very different conditions. But it's he that will start this race from pole position. Nico Muller, who he's beaten to the championship with two very close championship fights in recent years, is going to be alongside him. And then we've got the spanners in the works, the young guns right behind on row 2, Thomas Preining and Clement Schmidt, both with their best qualifying of the season in their first season of DTM so far. Clement Schmidt, though, plenty of experience for the 31-year-old. Was racing most recently in the GT World Challenge. He's had a few seasons now with the Grasser Racing team, and the team were very pleased to get him as high up the grid as they could, especially with their star man for this season, Mirko Bortolotti, having to drop back with that mix-up with the barcodes, meaning he had the wrong set of tyres registered for free practice too, and then was given a grid penalty. I think the team knew about that before qualifying, because they opted then to only put him out for the second 10 minutes of qualifying this morning, which means Mirko, for the races, has saved a set of tyres. You get 4 sets of tyres to last, 4 sets of new tyres to last throughout the course of a weekend. 1 set has to be used in free practice. So for 2 qualifyings and 2 races, you've only got 3 sets of new slick tyres. And the tyres are surely going to take a bit of a pounding in the hot conditions that we've got here this weekend. That track temperature has now gone up to 50.2 degrees. So, I mean, there's a slight bit of relief for the drivers, because it's a bit cooler than yesterday. It's 32 degrees. It was 34 yesterday in free practice too. Shelton Vanderlinder then with his 2nd and 3rd DTM wins. Had to wait a couple of years between wins number 1 and 2, but then got 2 within 24 hours or so of each other at the Lausitz-Ring to move into the championship lead. And he, as one of the top 3 drivers from the last race, has to carry success ballast into this one. 25 kilograms for Shelton Vanderlinder, who was the winner at race 2 at Lausitz-Ring. 15 kilograms for Maro Engel, and 5 kilograms extra on board for René Rast. Also, just to update you on a shift of balance of performance after qualifying, weight reductions for the Ferraris, which have really been struggling so far today. The best placed Ferrari on the grid is Nick Cassidy, back in 12th position. Only qualified 13th, but got bumped up one after Bortolotti was pushed down the grid. And then you've got Felipe Fraga, who's way down, 24th on the grid. So the Ferraris have been struggling all weekend long. Well, they've had 25 kilograms of BOP ballast taken away. So they did have, at the start of the weekend, 30, then they got 5, and also 20 kilograms less BOP weight on the Mercedes is the other key change, with a slight reduction in boost for the BMWs. But expect the Ferraris and the Mercedes to be a bit more competitive in the race. But is the damage already done for today, with qualifying for those drivers and cars not having gone that well? Overtaking potentially difficult around here. So maybe tomorrow is when we'll see them really come to the fore. But the car should come alive with quite a bit of weight taken off them for the race. So, row 1 of the grid, 3-time champion René Rast, 2-time runner-up Nico Müller. Row 2, Thomas Pring and Clement Schmidt. Row 3, it's Ricardo Feller and Kelvin Van Der Linde, who I'm sure is one that's going to be pushing to go forward. The car much more competitive after they reset the settings in a separate test at Hockenheim following a disappointing Lausitzring weekend. Marco Vitterman, a 2-time champion, looking for his first podium of the season. He's on row 4, and alongside him is Shelton Vanderlinder, the championship leader. That's your top 8. And then on row 5, we've got Lucas Auer and Maro Engel. Maro with some success ballast from last time out. Dennis Olsen in the SSR Performance Porsche. And Nick Cassidy in the AlphaTauri AF Corsa are on row 6. Row 7, we've got Rolf Innership with his best qualifying so far in DTM. And Lucas Stoltz alongside him has had 2 second-place finishes so far this season. Laurens van Teur is out at Le Mans, one of the drivers competing at Le Mans, as was René Rast, who got LMP2 class pole in the great 24-hour race last week. Laurens is starting on the inside of row 8 with Mirko Bortolotti for company. And then we got on row 9 Philip Eng and Timo Glock. Row 10 Arjun Maini and the reigning champion Maximilian Gotz with his new helmet design this weekend. Marius Sugg, the 19-year-old, and Michael Grenier is perhaps one to watch coming from the 11th row of the grid. And then on row 12 Max Buch and Felipe Fraga. Row 13 David Schumacher and Dev Gore. And row 14 Esteban Moot and Alessio De Leda, one of the home drivers, the Italian, who up to this point has had a concentration on single-seater racing. So the cars will have 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing, a mandatory pit stop in the race as well, where they'll change the tyres. And then we'll go again tomorrow. This is the 5th round of the 2022 season coming up. Track limits has definitely been an issue as well to keep an eye on throughout the free practice sessions, particularly a couple of areas. Piratella, turn 9, and also on the exit to Acqua Minerale at turn 13, the exit to Variante Alta chicane at turn 15. There have been the key areas where drivers have been running out wide and pushing the limits a bit too far, all 4 wheels over the curbs. Right, the cars then making their way out of Rivazza. Around the final kink they will go, and we'll get the rolling start underway. Safety car peels in then. To the left of your picture is Nico Müller. To the right of your picture is René Rast. Chris Hartley here trackside at Imola in the heat to talk you through the start of the first race of the weekend, round 5 of DTM 2022, about to get underway. And as soon as we get the green lights, we will be going racing. Outside line it is for the first kink, but for the first real braking zone, René Rast will have the inside line as they roar into life, and the race gets underway. It's side by side between the top 2 men here. Absolutely nothing to choose between René Rast and the 33 Audi, and really pushing him hard here is Nico Müller, trying to hang on around the outside, but just about René Rast is able to fend him off. Tommy Pring has held on to 3rd place, and holding on to 4th place is Clement Schmidt. Everybody has made it safely through that first run through the first chicane at Tamburello. They go now through Variante Villeneuve with a pole sitter at the head of the field. Müller in 2nd, Pring in 3rd. And then in 4th place, the first of the Lamborghinis coming under attack from Kelvin Van Der Linde, who's trying to charge up from 6th on the grid. He's already got up to 5th. He's trying to be 4th now as they climb uphill. The Audi going side by side with the Lamborghini, but he hasn't quite found a way through. He's got Marco Wittmann's BMW just behind him as well. Then Shelton Vanderlinder also in the mix coming through, the one that's dropped back a little bit here, and certainly he's dropped back behind his brother, the championship leader, but remember he's got that success ballast on board as well. Side-by-side action with Maro Engel and Lucas Stoltz are the 2 Mercedes going wheel to wheel here as they go through the second sector. So they just go through then Variante Alta chicane, and after this it's the downhill run. A climb a little bit coming out of here, but then it's a downhill run into Rivazza, a spectacular corner at the ends of the lap here. This first 2.9-kilometre tour of Imola about to come to an end, with René Rast then on the brakes into Rivazza, leading Müller in 2nd. He pushed him hard, didn't he, through that first couple of corners. And then Thomas Pring hanging on to the tail of them at the moment. There's Michael Grenier in the orange and blue, number 55 Mercedes, diving down the inside and gaining a place. Timo Glock, though, has got bodywork damage, look, and going slowly, and he might have a puncture as well, I'm afraid, on his return to the championship. He might not get past the first lap of the race.
Somebody drove into my car, I don't know who it was.
You're not wrong, Timo. Somebody's in my car. I don't know who it was, but Timo Glock, I'm afraid, in trouble already. So, real shame for him. Don't worry about the timing graphic. There's a transponder issue, I think, for Rene Rast's car. So, transponder not picking up his car at the moment, but he's very much there in the lead of the race as Timo Glock comes in. They should be able to get him back out again. Might have to change a wheel, might have to change a tyre, and they'll have to rip some bodywork away. But not a good return, I'm afraid, for Timo. No, I'm afraid he's getting out of the car, so they're not going to get him back after all. A shame for Timo, the 5-time DTM race winner. Ricardo Feller was looking pretty racy. Dennis Olsen's had a good start to the race. He's gone from 12th position up to 7th. 5 places gained for the Norwegian. He's got Ricardo Feller breathing down his neck, though, in that blue Abt Sportsline Audi as they make their way through the next sequence of corners. Rene Rast about to go thumping over the curbs through turns 14 and 15 at Variante Alta. We've got Schmidt in 3rd, Kelvin Van Der Linde 5th, Vitterman 6th, Shelton Vanderlinder 7th, and then Olsen, Feller, an hour just behind. Maro Engels made a decent start to the race as well, gone forward a little bit despite carrying some success ballast. So Rene Rast leading, just edging away a little bit on this lap so far. Certainly the gap from 2nd to 3rd is not growing, though, I wouldn't think. Have a look at the lap times in a minute, but Thomas Priding doing a fine job here. I asked him if it was difficult not having a teammate. There's only the one driver in the team, and he said, oh, for sure, it's definitely an issue for us. But we're getting better all the time, and this is the potential that we've got for the former Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland champion. Doing a fine job. Still, Ricardo Feller is all over the back of Dennis Olsen as they come through in 8th and 9th positions. Lucas Auer quite a long way behind them, rounding out the top 10. But this is the biggest battle on track at the moment. Olsen in the SSR Performance Porsche, another one in his first season of DTM, as is Ricardo Feller. Great battle this going on. Forley's a flat 6 Porsche 911 for now, able to stay just ahead for the 26-year-old from Norway. Former Intercontinental GT Challenge champion and a winner at some big endurance races like the Bathurst 12 hours and the Kyalami 9 hours, but this must feel like an endurance already, trying to keep Ricardo Feller behind him, and the Audi gets better traction coming out of the corner. He's trying to go around the outside here, but that's not quite going to work. Brave effort all the way to Aqua Minerale, back on the curbs, and he's much quicker than the Porsche, but he just cannot find a way past at the moment. Olsen's not over-defending, he's just sitting on the racing line here and fending him off. A great battle that now makes its way through Variante Alta, next to the chicanes. It wasn't until the 1970s that they put some of these chicanes in, and then after Senna and Roland Ratzenberg had their tragic deaths here at the circuit in 1994, more chicanes, more gravel traps were added, but there used to be big long straights between the furthest corners, and we get replay of the start. Some board with Lucas Auer right on the tail of Marco Vitterman, who made a good start in the BMW. 4th place finish is the best that we've had so far for him. He got side by side with fellow BMW driver Shelton Vanderlinder through the first chicane and through Tamburello there. Absolutely nip and tuck between the top 2. And that was where Timo Glock got hit on the first lap of the race. I think he got hit after that as well as he rejoined. And this is what it looked like from Timo's point of view. One of the drivers carrying onboard camera. Arjun Maini having a coming together as well on the first lap of the race with Rolf Inischen, who, yes, has dropped back to 24th place. Real shame for Rolf, the Swiss driver, former multiple class champion and class champion in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland, because he'd had, say, his best grid of the season so far. He's been busy over the last couple of years, gaining more and more GT racing experience. Racing at Le Mans with Mirko Bortolotti last weekend, finishing 15th overall and 11th in LMP2. So Timo Glock, I'm afraid, out of the race. It didn't last long. Let's find out what happened. Verena is down in the pit lane.
What a huge shame. I mean, this is certainly not the comeback we wanted for you for this weekend. I mean, it was just a few minutes and your car looks really destroyed. What exactly happened from your point of view?
No, I mean, from the start on, Michael Grenier was just driving into my car, I don't know, I think 15 times. Totally stupid. I don't know what his plan was, but he was just on the straight, bouncing into my car until my suspension was broken, and then I had to slow down, and then one of the other guys just drove into me because he couldn't avoid me. But I don't know. I mean, the way how he acted on lap 1, fighting for P18, I don't get it. I mean, that's more than stupid, to be honest.
We'll see what the stewards will decide there, but for tomorrow the car will be fixed. Do you think it'll be okay?
I hope so. We need to check what's broken on the car and see if we get everything repaired for tomorrow.
Crossing our fingers. Thank you very much, Timo. Back to you.
That's a real shame for Timo. If he had no bad luck, he'd have no luck at all, would he? Just in the wrong place there again. You can see how disappointed he is as well. Yes, it's just a one-off appearance for now, but he wanted to do his best, as of course he always does. So a real shame for Timo. That's sort of bad fortune from his last season carrying on for him on his return to the championship. Right, René Rast has got himself 0.7 of a second clear, because last time around, while we were listening to Timo Glock report on his torrid first lap, he set the fastest lap of the race, 1:41.690, and that was 0.3 quicker than Nico Müller in second place. He did a 1:41.9, a 1:42.1, just a couple of tenths slower for Tommy Priding in third place. So the gap grew slightly from second to third place, so that was pretty tight at the start of the previous lap. We've got Schmidt in fourth place. Kelvin Van Der Linde is, after that good start to the race, in fifth. Marco Vitterman in sixth. Shelton Vanderlinder, Dennis Olsen, Ricardo Feller and Lucas Auer still rounding out the points finishes at the moment in terms of the top 10. So the bonus point for fastest lap at the moment going to the championship, the race leader. There is a replay of a big hit that Timo Glock took. And there you can see hands in the air. What was all that about, he says. And yes, as I thought, he did get hit again as he rejoined the circuit. So a real shame for Timo Glock. Great stuff this, though, for René Rast in search of his 25th career victory, looking for his first win since the end of the 2020 season. Remember, he wasn't competing last year in DTM, concentrating on his Formula E duties. And a much better start to this race than he enjoyed, or rather didn't enjoy, at Le Mans last week, where getting LMP2 class pole, he got tangled up in a first corner incident. Recovered, but it didn't help. And look at this in the background. Lucas Stoltz under fire from Philipp Eng. Mercedes versus BMW. And Eng swung out wide there to try and find a way through for 12th place, but couldn't do it in the end. Just behind then, you've got Nick Cassidy in the Ferrari in 14th place. He lost a couple of places on the opening of the lap. He was 12th on the grid. He's down to 14th place. Bortolotti is the next one in the line. Look in the green. Rassa Racing at Lamborghini, which was quick enough to be in the top 6 and started 16th with that grid penalty. Has only gained 1 place up to 15th position, I'm afraid. So there's Dennis Olsen still fending off Ricardo Feller. Ricardo not quite all over the back of him like he was a couple of laps ago, but not far away. And the longer it goes on the battle, the more Dennis Olsen knows where the Audi is going to be quicker, where the attacks are going to come from, and is better prepared to try and defend those positions. Just running out a little bit wide, coming out of the turn. Incident between Arjun Maini and Royal Finishing has been noted, it says, so they might have a look at that after the race. On board with the championship leader, Shelton Vanderlinder. It might be a little bit of damage limitation here with the weight he's got on board, but already, look, pit stops. And René Rast coming in, Thomas Priding coming in. So 2 of the top 3, including the race leader, are in. Marco Vitterman has come in. Dennis Olsen has also come into the pits, and Lucas Auer, another one. Philipp Eng, I think, as well. Michael Grenier also into the pits. So very, very busy here early on, which means long stints on the tyres and for the drivers when they get back out again. So Rast already up and away. He carries on. Dennis Olsen is going to slot in just in front of Lucas Auer, I think. Philipp Eng right behind Lucas Auer as well as they come out. The mandatory pit stop these days taken between the end of minute 10 and the completion of minute 40. Michael Grenier comes out of the pits. Previously, the pit window opened after 5 minutes into the race. You could stop wherever you liked, but there's a narrow window now for it. But lots of the drivers opting to pit early, including René Rast. So he's now got to make his next set of tyres last for just about 45 minutes in this 55-minute plus 1 lap race. So Nico Müller picks up the lead of the race. Clement Schmidt moves up to second. Kelvin Van Der Linde moves up to third place. René Rast came out as the leading pit stopper back in 21st position. And Thomas Priding behind him. Marco Vitterman, third of the pit stoppers. Annette fourth for Dennis Olsen. Auer fifth. Eng sixth and Grenier seventh. So 7 of them came in to make their pit stops. And now you got Clement Schmidt coming in, and just in front of him, Nico Muller has come in as well. Shelton Vanderlinder, the championship leader, is the next one in. So that will put Kelvin Van Der Linde up into the lead of the race. And Ricardo Feller, who was getting stuck behind the Porsche of Dennis Olsen before the SSR Performance man came into the pits on the previous lap, he will now move up to second place. So early pit stops, but how are the tyres going to suffer in the heat here with 49.5 degrees track temperature for a very lengthy second stint? Right, in they all come. They're refueling, just changing the tyres. Sticking to the 60 kilometre an hour speed limit. 6 team members working on the car. Only 4 of them to change wheels. Have to change the rears before the fronts in one of the new rules this season. And out they go. And they're going to slot in now and get their tyres up to temperature. So Muller has come out just in front of Pring. They were second and third beforehand, so no change there effectively. And then the rest of them have made their stops already, but not the cool tyres, if you can call them cool at these degrees of temperature that we've got, but relatively cool. Vitterman had a little excursion there. He's got away with it with no real drama. It's tucked in just behind the number 95 Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini of the Clement Schmidt car. So they're on their outlaps. Pring, though, has got his tyres up to temperature already, so this is his best chance to attack Nico Muller on this lap. While Nico gets the tyres up to temperature, which shouldn't, you think, take that long, given the heat that we've got here today. Maybe not as long as it's taken at other rounds earlier in the season, particularly the Lausitz-Ring, although we've had 3 hot weekends so far. Portimao, Lausitz-Ring, and especially here at Imola, and it looks like Nico Muller has got it covered off for a net second place. Tell you what, though, René Rast is a lot further ahead of Nico Muller than he was before they both came in to make their pit stops, isn't he? Nico's going to have slightly fresher tyres at the end of the race, but only by 1 lap. But a big gain there, I would suggest, for René Rast. Right, here's a replay of that moment that Marco Vitterman just understeered, turned in and nothing reacted. The tyres hadn't gripped up yet. I mean, just gone into the pits. Got Nick Cassidy, Maro Engel and Rolf Inischen into the pits now as well. 27 runners that remain in the race. Engel already on his way out. Should be in front of the Ferrari. And Inischen, of course, to drop back after that contact with Arjun Maini early on in the race, trying to fight his way back up the order. So Vitterman comes past. Shelton Vanderlinder and Dennis Olsen are going to come past as well. Dennis Olsen much closer relative to Shelton Vanderlinder than he was before the pit stops. That might not be good news for Ricardo Feller. We need a good pit stop at Alp Sports side to make sure Feller is still in that battle with Dennis Olsen. He's opting for a longer stop. So Olsen, having been defensive, now having to be attacking. Maro Engel has slotted in just in front of Lucas Stoltz, and he's trying to fend him off here. There's almost contact between the 2 Mercedes. Lucas Auer had already made his pit stop. He's just behind, and then you've got Philipp Eng in the BMW side by side here as Lucas Stoltz trying to take the speed around the outside to gain an advantage as he comes out of toes up, climbs up the hill, and still he can't find a way past here, and Maro Engel remains ahead. Remember, carrying 15 kilograms of success ballast in the Mercedes is Maro Engel, because he was returned to DTM. He's had a good weekend at the Lausitz-Ring in his second weekend back, getting himself up on the podium very close, the closest finish of the season so far, to the tail of Shelton Vanderlinder. Ricardo Feller now has the fastest lap of the race bonus point, but René Rast has just set the absolute best second sector of the race so far with a 33.1. So the pit stops worked out for René, and he's now got his head down to try and further extend his advantage. He's nearly 4 seconds clear of Muller. He gained 2.5, 3 seconds during that pit stop phase. So going for the bonus point is René Rast. Kelvin Van Der Linde is your race leader, though, this man, because he hasn't yet pitted. Ricardo Feller is second. Mirko Bortolotti has gone from 16th to 3rd, but they've all got to still make their pit stops. Max Buch is 4th. Felipe Fraga is 5th. Arjun Maini 6th. Esteban Muth 7th. Maximilian Gutz in 8th. Dev Gore and David Schumacher rounding out the top 10 as it stands. But René Rast in 12th place is your net leader because he's made his pit stop, and there you go. He sets the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 41.423 to get that back away from his teammate Feller. As that's Eng going down the inside of Auer to gain a place. So Eng looking pretty racy here. some good starts at the Lausitz Ring, did Vitterman. Got away well. But, he's got ahead of the Mercedes, which has then got Nick Cassidy breathing down his neck. So on board with Nick now, the New Zealander, former Super GT champion, pushing on in the AlphaTauri blue and white Ferrari. Ron Weikart, the sporting director, looked a bit perplexed this morning with all the problems they had, but the reduction of weight might just help them for the rest of the weekend, as we saw Kelvin Van Der Linde coming into the pits from the lead of the race. So Ricardo Feller will inherit the lead for now. Bortolotti will move up to second, Buch up to third, and Fraga in the Ferrari will move up to fourth place. Right, this needs to be good. He was up to fourth place, remember, before the pit stops. Had a good opening lap. So you'll want to slot in somewhere behind Tommy Preining, at least, to stay relatively where he was. Rast is just coming over the line. There, coming out of the pits, it's Van Der Linde. He's got no chance of being in front of Rast. Don't think he's going to pop out in front of Muller, not quite, but he will pop out in front of the Porsche. So he's effectively gained a place here, and Tommy Preining has got to go for this, because his best chance to get back ahead of the Audi is going to be while the tyres get up to temperature for half a lap or so. And you can see the Porsche already breathing down Van Der Linde's neck. Two wheels onto the grass, turns into enough grip to put the Porsche back through and gain a net third place. And Tommy Preining there, absolutely committed to the move. Van Der Linde moved over because he knew what was coming, tried his best to defend the position. The South African, who the week after Lausitz Ring went on to take his second victory in the Nürburgring 24-hour race. He couldn't fend him off in the end, so it will be a net fourth place still for Kelvin Van Der Linde, but it was a good effort by the Abt Sportsline pit crew to almost give him that opportunity. But he'll have fresher tyres than Tommy Preining by a few laps later on, as Ricardo Feller now comes in. So Feller in. Bortolotti is going to pick up the lead of the race because he stays out on track. And there, Bortolotti goes through. It's a false position for now, but it'll feel good to be an Italian in an Italian car leading in Italy on the DTM's first visit to this circuit. It's the fifth different Italian track that the DTM has ever visited. The most recent addition was Monza at the start of last year. So Rast pushing on. His teammate Feller about to come out of the pits. Feller, remember, was having that huge battle with Dennis Olsen before Dennis came into the pits a few laps ago in the Porsche. So can he get in front of Dennis Olsen? And look at Kelvin Van Der Linde side by side there with the Lamborghini of Clement Schmidt. And who's going to get there first? It's going to be just the Audi, but Clement Schmidt was all over him. And Kelvin Van Der Linde almost lost another place there for a fraction of a second. Clement Schmidt had got ahead in the reds and black Grasser Racing Team run car, the Austrian team. But Kelvin Van Der Linde just got his elbows out and dug in, but he's lost a lot of ground to Thomas Preining's Porsche. So Rast is your net leader. He comes through shot on the 33 car. 51 Muller is a net second. Then Preining a net third. And Van Der Linde a net fourth. So as you were really between those four drivers. Clement Schmidt, who qualified fourth but dropped back to fifth at the start of the race, is in a net fifth place. So we've now got the top 9 who have yet to make their mandatory pit stop in this race. Got to do it before the end of the 40th minute in the race. So there's 15 minutes to go. That's the mark at which you've got to make sure you've come in to make your pit stop across that pit line entry. So plenty of time in which to do it. And try now, get his head down. And I guess you would leave it as late as possible in the hope now that there's a safety car, because if a safety car comes out at any point before the pit window closes, that's when the likes of Mirko Bortolotti and Max Buch and Felipe Fraga are going to dive in, because you'll lose less time relative to the others if they're all stuck behind a safety car and you make your pit stop. So it could be a big advantage. So if you've opted to go this far now without changing your tyres, you will push it as late as you could. But then it'll get to a point later on where they think, well, you know, I need to change tyres now because the new tyres, the newer tyres are going to give me more speed. I need time to use them though and to try and get through. No point putting them on with 15 minutes to go. It's not very long for me to come through and gain these positions. So I push it as late as they can, but then they will start thinking about giving themselves a bit of an opportunity to use the fresher tyres at the end of the race, which will be, I would think, a big advantage. So Bortolotti, the leader, well, he's not struggling with the tyres yet, that's for sure. He's just on 1:41.7. And only a couple of drivers quicker than him on the track at the moment, which are Nico Muller and Thomas Preining, only a tenth quicker with 1:41.6s. Rene Rast did a 1:41.7 last time around. So Bortolotti leads, Fraga second, Buch third, Miney fourth, Moot in fifth from the back of the field, Götz in sixth, Gore in seventh, Schumacher in eighth, and De Leyde in ninth, yet to make their pit stops. The virtual leader is Rene Rast in 10th place, who's 3.6 seconds clear of Nico Muller, who in turn is nearly 2 seconds clear of Thomas Preining, who in turn is 1.8 seconds clear of Kelvin Van Der Linde, despite the fact that we're running absolutely side by side. And Kelvin came out after his pit stop, and Up Sportsline watching on there. With Rene Rast, who they fought against for a couple of big seasons when they had Nico Muller as their star driver, and Team Rosberg had Rene Rast as their star driver. They've switched roles now, switched teams, and resuming their battle. But definitely Rast has the upper hand at the moment. You know, really, really strong position here. Well, having had that moment where he almost lost a place to Clement Schmidt, Kelvin Van Der Linde has dusted himself down now and starting to get back on with things. So starting to find a little bit of breathing space. Some tight battles further back. Nick Cassidy was right on the tail of Lucas Auer as he came past the commentary box window. Yeah, there they are. And they are very much nose to tail. Cassidy was right underneath the rear wing as he flashed past the commentary box. And the cameras pick up now that battle. But he's also got to watch the mirrors, because right behind him he's got Laurens Vanthoor. Lawrence trying to come from a long way down the field at the moment, back in 24th position, one of the last of the pit stoppers as well. He has overtaken, or he's gained 11 places per race on average so far this season. Laurens Vanthoor is the driver that's gained the most places from grid positions. The qualifying has not been great so far for the SSR Performance team, but the race pace has been very good. 45 places gained in 4 races so far from Laurens Vanthoor. 29 places for Alicia De Leyde and 28 places for Esteban Moot. They're the 3 drivers that have been moving forwards the most in the races so far this season, but I think that might be pushing it a bit hard here at Imola for Laurens Vanthoor to gain anything really. He's struggling. We have got a black and white warning flag that's come out for Philippine for disrespecting track limits. Be careful, because you get away with it twice, and the third time you get a warning, which is what he's on now. If it happens a 4th time, you start to get penalties applied, and grid penalties for the next race, 3 positions for each time after the 3rd time that you exceed the track limits. And it has happened this year. Portimao, quite a few of them dished out. Cassidy side by side again then with Lucas Auer as they flash past, go into Tamburello. Trying to go around the outside here is the Ferrari man. You can see he's all over the Mercedes, but he just cannot find a way past. But that seems to be his best opportunity at the start of the lap. They go flat out through Variante Bassa, the kink after the start-finish line, then hit the brakes for that left-right-left sequence as it is these days at Tamburello. And that's where the Ferrari has been all over the Mercedes for the last few laps. But Lucas Auer has had one race win so far this season. The Mercedes have been struggling. They might be better off tomorrow, I think, with that reduction of weight in the cars, the change of BOP. But qualifying was the problem. No Mercedes in the top 10, and they've got to sort of live with it for race 2, even if the cars are a bit more alive. Certainly the Ferrari has come alive, hasn't it? Cassidy looking strong here, but yet to find a way through. So what you are looking at, as we get a replay now, is a battle that's quite a long way down the order, but could potentially end up being for points. There's Nick Cassidy. Look at the focus and the concentration on his eyes, writ upon his face here. There was a bit of contact there, wasn't there? You saw from the viewpoint, the side shot of Nick Cassidy, that the car definitely got a bit of a bump there. I couldn't have got much closer. Hard racing out there between 2 very talented drivers, even though at the moment the battle is only for 22nd position. 14th place for Clement Schmidt, who's got the fastest lap of the race now, as well as it stands. And will be in the top 10 to register that as a point once all the pit stops settle down. Right, here comes Cassidy again. He's a bit further away from the Porsche. I think he's probably a bit further back from the Mercedes this time as well. So no way through to attack yet. Trying his best though, isn't he, Nick Cassidy? Absolutely pushing on. His teammate Felipe Fraga is second at the moment, but has still got to make a whole pit stop yet, so he's going to be behind him once it all works out. This man yet to make a pit stop as well. As I say, going to push it quite hard now. Goes over the crest, will drop down towards Rivazza. So we get a super slow-mo of Mirko Bortolotti, who has been in the top 6 in all 4 races so far, the only driver to achieve that. Shelton Vanderlinder is in the points in all 4 races. Mirko Bortolotti's been in the points in all 4 races so far this season. And Maro Engel has also been in the points in the top 10 in all 4 races so far. It's a great weekend for the German. The 2nd and the 5th last time out at the Lausitzring. And the only other one that's been in the points every time so far is Laurens Vanthoor, but that looks like that run might come to an end now. As we look at René Rast, 10th place, but the virtual leader. He's got the gap to Nico Müller at back over 4 seconds now, 4.003 seconds. René last time round did a 1:41.9. The race leader Bortolotti 1:42.3. So Bortolotti's tyres older, maybe starting to go off a little bit now. Quicker than the Ferrari of Fraga though, by 4/10 on that previous lap with a 1:42.7. Max Buch struggling with his car, I think. 1:43.4 is third, but the pace is not great at the moment. So there's Kelvin Van Der Linde. And there, the driver is trying to catch Thomas Breining. The young Austrian driver. Could he get a podium in only his 3rd weekend, only his 5th start in the championship? Be quite fantastic. He's looked good all weekend long. Saw him briefly at the end of practice yesterday. A big smile on his face, gave me a big pat on the back. And then we had a chat this morning and he was very, very pleased with how it's going. His girlfriend here to watch him this weekend as well. Mom and Dad will be at home. Brought him up through his karting days. He's a Euromax karting champion. It's great, about a foot taller since I last saw him. The voice has deepened. He's had a great, great career in Porsche. He's been racing in the ADAC GT Masters Championship most recently. And only the one driver in the team, but it is a very, very successful team, Timo Bernhard's team. Timo himself a great racing driver, 5 times the winner at the Nürburgring 24-hour race, a double Le Mans winner as well. A 23-year-old from Linz, keeping Kelvin Van Der Linde well at bay at the moment. Porsche Carrera Cup champion back in 2018. Best result for him so far is a 13th place finish. He's had a couple of retirements. This is easily going to be his best. Great slow-mo there. The movement in the car, some damage to the underside of the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy picked up from earlier on. The cars, the bottom of the cars all take a pounding though, don't they? There's Laurens Vanthoor's Porsche. It looks a bit second-hand with all the curbs there tacked through the chicanes. Miney having his pit stop then. The Indian driver with the best place this year of 4th, but a podium finisher at the end of last season. First ever Indian to race and finish on the podium in the DTM. Will rejoin. Nick Cassidy's dropped back from Lucas Auer this time, so the Austrian Lucas Auer with a bit more breathing space into Tamburello this time. Arjun Maini leaves the pits opposite the commentary box, and there we watch Mirko Bortolotti pushing on now as he makes his way through turns 14 and 15 at Variante Alta. Makes short work of the curbs, gets on the gas and accelerates then over the crest and down towards Rivazza. This is a great shot as the cars plummet downhill now. All the weight on the front wheels, no weight on the back of the car, so easy to lose the back end here, easy to understeer this double apex corner as they come out then on the gas. Lots of cars were running into that gravel trap yesterday, but no problems for Mirko Bortolotti. Right, Ricardo Feller, who's staring at the back of Dennis Olsen's car for the first few laps of the race, is now staring at the back of a different car, a BMW. So 13th and 14th at the moment, these two. But we've still got the top 7 to make their pit stops. So it'll be for 6th place overall, this battle, once everything sorts itself out. And there you can see from the graphic how things have changed through the sectors over the last couple of laps. Hovering around 0.2 of a second, growing at 1 point to 0.3, under 0.2 at 1 point. Ricardo Feller through though, and ahead and pulling away already. And he's off like a rocket, look. As soon as he got past the BMW, he's gone. He's already a couple of lengths clear. Just carried the speed around the outside. Did go off the road. got it back on, was given just enough room, then had another go, and this time down the inside into Ravazza. He did go wide through the first bit, but it was a good move that, to get through and make the place up. That's Max Buch, who has just rejoined behind Arjun Maini, so he's been into the pits now as well. So that's the top 6 cars now have yet to make their pit stops. They've got to do so within the next 7 minutes 50 seconds. Bortolotti leads, Fraga is second, Moot is third, Gutz in fourth, Gore in fifth, Schumacher in 6th place. René Rast is really, though, your race leader in 7th place. There's Peter Muka to the right of the picture. Team boss at Muka Motorsport, Norbert Haug, former vice president of Mercedes-Benz. One of the people that was instrumental in getting the DTM back into its current form back in 2000, here this weekend as well. And there you go, black and white flag for track limits. I suspect that'll be the last time we see that. It's for 55, which is Michael Grenier has got that warning. And Schumacher coming into the pits now, with René Rast right behind him anyway. So Rast will move up the pecking order another place. He comes through. Muller is 4.49 seconds behind him now, so the gap continues to edge out between effectively the top 2 in the race. Rast has not been looking back, has he? We'll be hoping these 3 drivers come into the pits soon, though, otherwise he's going to get stuck in amongst them and might lose time, and Muller will be hoping they don't come into the pits. So you've got Moot, Gutz and Gore all waiting to make their pit stops. They are 3rd, 4th and 5th at the moment. René Rast will be getting in amongst them very quickly, because that group ahead of him are doing mid 1 minute 43s, and René Rast is a lot quicker, doing low 1 minute 42s. So he's at 1.2, 1.3 seconds a lap quicker than that group he's catching at the moment. So Rast pushing on, going down the gear, slowing the car down. This undulating circuit here at Imola, coming through and accelerating out over the crest once again, catching them absolutely rapidly, isn't he? Make their way through the next chicane, coming out through Variante Alta down towards Ravazza. He's not going to be close enough to attack there. Will they come into the pits or not is the question. Just over 5 minutes to go before the pit window closes. Black and white flag this time for Felipe Fraga for, you know what, track limits. So he's on a warning as well. Incident noted from earlier on between Ricardo Feller and Lucas Auer as well, it says on the screen. Right, Gutz comes into the pits, that's one out of the way. Dev Gore gets the old flashing headlights treatment, though, from the 3-time champion, 24-time race winner in DTM. Closing up to him through Tamburello. Come on, I'm coming. Get out of the way as soon as you can, please, he says to the American. Dev Gore ran a little bit wide there as well, because you can see the dust was kicked up. It's been a tough season so far for last year's champion, Maximilian Gutz, fighting just to try and pick up a few points in this race weekend. Not yet seen for the 3-time race winner anything approaching a podium, really. His best was a 5th place finish in race 2 at Portimao. He got a 10th as his best result at Lausitzring. And out of the points in the other 2 races, right, here comes René Rast through on Dev Gore. It's a place gained, but we're not really fighting for position, these 2, because Dev Gore still to make his pit stop. Pretty old tyres. Bortolotti's going to push this right to the end, though, isn't he? 1 minute 42.256. He's still got pretty good pace as well. It has to be said, the Italian has looked after his tyre as well. So he's getting as far away from them as he can. Esteban Moot now is about to succumb to the virtual race leader. He doesn't fight too hard, and René Rast comes through now as well. So that puts Rast up to 3rd place on the road. 2 drivers ahead of him, which are Bortolotti and Fraga. 1 Italian in an Italian car, 1 Brazilian in an Italian car, but both of them are going to have to make their pit stops pretty shortly, and then René Rast will re-inherit the lead of the race. Replay, one of the marker bollards there has been clipped in half already, hasn't it? And René Rast finishes the job off. The car, the bodywork rattling as he throws it over the curbs. Like a real pounding through here. Racing drivers just want to straight line corners as much as they can. René Rast doing it perfectly at the moment. No track limits warnings for him, that's for sure. Pushing it to the curb, but no more. Devgor, I'm afraid, into the pits and also into retirement, straight into the garage. So that's another one out, plummeting down the field, I'm afraid, to join Timo Glock as a retiree from the race. So Bortolotti has got 3 minutes in which to make his pit stop now. So it's got to be soon. Same for Fraga. It's 15.9 seconds between the pair of them. And the gap from first to third, i.e. Bortolotti to Rast, is 27 seconds. He's got a chance of getting himself in the top 10, which was the aim for the team. Gottfried Grasser, the team principal, the owner of the team, the Austrian, said if we can get him in the top 10, we'll be pleased with that. We saved a fresh set of tyres by only doing one run in qualifying. Let's see if we can get a point. So he comes in now towards the end of the pit window. Bortolotti in. Fraga might well do the same. Could probably push it for another lap, but is there any point really? So now give yourself as much time as you can to use your fresher tyres up against those that are going to be a little bit second hand with the rest of them. Well, he can. It's going to be looking to rejoin somewhere around about 11th or 12th place, I would think. Somewhere around about Shelton Vanderlinder, who's in 11th place as it stands.
So there will be traffic on pit exits. Bring the tyres in nicely, please.
All right, Rast is through, Muller's through, Pring is through, Kelvin Van Der Linde is through in a net 4th. And Feller is ahead now of Clement Schmidt for 5th and 6th positions. He comes out just in front of Marco Vitterman, but Marco surely is going to put the BMW ahead of him. Yes, he is, on the way to Tamburello. Never a question, was there? But still, he's going to be well up in the top 10 here, and he's going to have fresh tyres for the last 15 minutes or so of the race. There's a big old gap behind. He's not going to lose any more places, so that's worked out very well for him. Indeed, Fraga did come into the pits at the same time as well. And what are we looking at here? Very hot brakes. Changing the wheels. 4 of them working on the tyre change. 1 of them on the air gun, 1 of them on the lollipop. And Felipe Fraga has come into the pits and also come into the garage and stopped, I'm afraid. So that is it for him. He's out of the race. René Rast has re-inherited the lead. He's 4.059 seconds clear of Nico Muller in second. Esteban Muti still to make his pit stop. He's going to have to come in on this lap. He's in third, so Pring will move up to third. Kelvin Van Der Linde will gain a place as well. Replay on board with Nick Cassidy throwing it over the curbs as Lucas Auer went very wide on the exit to Rivazza and kicked up the dust. And this is what it looked like from Lucas's point of view. He got up the inside of him, Laurens van Teur, which wasn't helping there earlier in the lap. And then he lost the ground to Nick Cassidy as well. So 2 places lost in quick succession for Lucas Auer, who's demoted now to 17th place. Van Teur up to 15th, Cassidy up to 16th place. All of them well out of the points, though. And then Rolf Inischen just behind, looking pretty racy as well. Teammate to Mirko Bortolotti, the Swiss driver there, in the number 19 car, just behind him. Number 66, Marius Zug, but all of these drivers are out of the points. So Bortolotti, having slotted in behind Vitterman, he's in the top 10, he's in 8th place, so he is on for some championship points here. Can he get any further up the road? 4 points coming his way for finishing in 8th place. But can he use those fresher tyres now to go on the attack? We shall see. So Shelton Vanderlinder is 9th. Dennis Olsen is in 10th place. Maro Engel, 11th, is the one just outside the points, but he's only half a second adrift. Because Esteban Muti has now come into the pits. You haven't seen it, but he's just gone back out again, back in 25th place. So everybody's now pitted. Once you get to the pit lane entry to make your mandatory stop before the clock runs out, you'll be okay. Right, Grasser Racing Team, what can you get out of this? You've got Clement Schmidt running in 6th place. You've got a GRT Lambo of Bortolotti in 2 places behind him in 8th position. So 2 potential point-scoring finishes here for the Austrian team with 13.5 minutes or so to go. René Rast, and then plus 1 lap at the end of the race. René Rast, your race leader, looking for back-to-back podium finishes, which will mean more success ballast added to the car. He's only got 5 kilograms on board now. That will times by 5 go up to 25 kilograms for tomorrow's race, although we did see Shelton Vanderlinder at the Lausitz Ring getting a win with full success ballast on board in day 2. Right, Marco Vitterman and Mirko Bortolotti come through the other way around. Bortolotti now up to 7th place ahead of Vitterman, so he's got that job done. But there's a huge gap now to try and bridge if he wants to get any more positions up the road. Clement Schmidt, still the fastest lap of the race there, shown on the graphic. He's the next one up the road, but he is around about 4 seconds ahead. Still, you never know, because Bortolotti is just at the absolute best first sector time of the whole race. The 21.1 replay of how it happened, and it was just a little bit wide for Marco Vitterman. Not much room, not much of an invitation on the exit to Ravazza, but that was all Bortolotti required, and through he went. And now he's left the BMW far, far behind with his fresher tyres on. He's going for it, isn't he? He wants to at least finish as the top-placed Lamborghini in the race. To do that, he needs to catch a gap of 4 seconds to Clement Schmidt. He's already got it down to 3.3 because he sets the absolute best second sector time of the race as well. Esteban Moot, I'm afraid he's in the garage and out of the race. So Moot, Fraga, Gore and Glock, 4 retirements from the race. 24 cars still on the track. But this is on here, this battle for 6th place. Bortolotti is flying, and he might get a bonus point for the fastest lap of the race as well. It looks like he's about to. He set the absolute best first sector, the absolute best second sector time. So we'll see if he completes the lap and does it. I should say he's got a very good chance. But his key thing now is to try and close the gap to a driver that runs under the same roof as him. Right, here we come. Over the line, trying to catch Clement Schmidt in the other Lamborghini, and there you go. Fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 40.957. That is a mean lap. So the gap, which was 4 seconds at the start of the lap between Schmidt and Bortolotti, is now 2.8 seconds. He's already shaved it by a third, and he can see his prey now, see his target. Look how far behind already the BMW is. Oh, Riccardo Feller, after a good race, has dropped out of the running luck. So that becomes 5th and 6th now, that battle between Schmidt and Bortolotti. Oh, a real shame for Riccardo Feller, who's looked really on it this weekend. So he retires in the latter stages of the race. Rast is your leader, Muller is 2nd, Preining is 3rd, Van der Linde 4th. That's as it was, but Schmidt moved up to 5th now, with that retirement for Feller. Up to 6th, Bortolotti. Vitterman 7th, Shelton Van der Linde 8th, Dennis Olsen 9th, Maro Engel moves into the points in 10th place, and Lucas Stoltz was just outside the points, 7/10 of a second adrift in 11th. Eng is 12th, Vantur is 13th, Cassidy 14th, Auer 15th, Inishin 16th, Zug, Miney, Book and Grenier round out the top 20. Guts back in 21st, the reigning champion. Schumacher and Delay 22nd and 23rd. Right, reeling in Clement Schmidt here. He must feel pretty helpless, Clement Schmidt. This is green bullet getting bigger and bigger in the mirrors as they make their way around the laps through the first sector. Bortolotti was 3/10 quicker. Through the second sector, he was 6/10 quicker. He's gained the best part of a second on this lap already. We haven't finished the lap yet, so the gap is going to come down further still. It's 1.6 seconds he's got it down to now. He's about to change again as they go over the line to 1.1 seconds. Personal best third sector for Bortolotti. So it might be on this lap that he gets ahead of Clement Schmidt, I reckon. Look at this queue that's formed up behind Dennis Olsen. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th all running together here. One SSR Performance Porsche at the head of the quintet, another at the back of it, Lawrence Vantur. Right, here is the battle then for 5th place in the remaining 10 minutes plus 1 lap. And he might not be done yet if he can quickly dispatch with Clement Schmidt. Next target, Kelvin Van Der Linde. And Van Der Linde is 3.3 seconds up the road, but bearing in mind he's closed a 4-second gap in about 2.5 laps here, he'll fancy his chances. This is a great drive from Mirko Bortolotti, who is already on course to maintain his excellent run of consistency and being in the top 6 in all the races. Here we go, he's on the case now of Clement Schmidt. This is going to be a fascinating couple of laps here, if it even takes that long for Bortolotti to come through. He is all over the back of Clement Schmidt here as they make their way through. Clement's okay for the moment, making his way out through the final chicane of the lap at Variante Alta. But what about Ravazza? Can he get the run here and get the job done down the inside? He gets right onto the case of Clement. Schmidt, he looks down the inside. Is he going to go for it? Not quite yet, but maybe in the middle of the corner he will. Yes, he does. Through the inside he goes. And Bortolotti picks up another place. This is a fine tactic from the team and a beautiful drive from the Italian. 5th place now. He started 16th in the race. So Bortolotti, next target, Kelvin Van Der Linde. He's got 8 minutes in which to catch him. Of course, his tyres are getting more and more worn as it goes on, but so too are Kelvin Van Der Linde's. And the news coming through from Ab Sportsline, it's a right rear puncture for Riccardo Fella. It's the 2nd weekend running that he suffered a puncture. So a real shame for Riccardo Fella. As I say, been driving absolutely fantastically all weekend long. Right, Kelvin Van Der Linde will have got the news. Get your head down, Kelvo, because this Italian is like a man possessed at the moment, and he's coming after you. And if he comes after you, Thomas Pryning might be thinking, well, he might come after me as well. And I'm on for my first ever DTM podium here. Another retiree, I'm afraid, is Lucas Auer getting out of the car. So that's now 6 drivers dropping out. We've had Auer, Fella, Moot and Frager all dropping out in the very closing stages of the race as well. So Auer out. Miserable weekend so far for Mercedes and for Lucas Auer. We've only got 1 Mercedes in the top 10, which is Maro Engel. I think it might be a different story tomorrow. Lucas Stoltz is falling. No, he's a bit closer to him actually. He's 4 tenths behind. So Lucas still trying to get himself into the points here. Lawrence Ventura's run of points finishes looks like it's about to come to an end. He's in 12th position. René Rast then 4.7 seconds clear. Nico Imola has had no answer to him really since that very first run into Tamburello. It's all been about René Rast. This has been a commanding drive. Remember, he and the team were a little bit all out at sea in the first weekend at Portimao. First time for a number of years he hadn't finished in the points in any of the races on a weekend. But things took a visible step forward. Worked on the setup. And he said we've turned, he wouldn't say what it was, obviously, but he said we've turned the whole concept of our setup on its head, and it worked. They made some radical changes, and since then, it has been working beautifully for René Rast. 7th in the championship at the start of the weekend. He's going to get those 3 points already for that pole position. 25 points for a race win coming his way as well. So today already, he's on course for picking up 28 points. He only had 21 before the start of the day. So he's going to shoot up the championship table here, especially with Maro Engel just in the points. Lucas Stoltz out of the points. Lucas Auer, 3rd in the championship, out of the points. And Shelton Vanderlinder, the championship leader, of course, he's going to catch because he's in 8th place and only about to pick up 4 points. So close the gap by 21 points to him as well, having only been 42 behind him at the start of the race. Halves the gap. Right, Bortolotti has just gone through the 2nd sector and he's taken already 6 tenths of a second out of Kelvin Van Der Linde on this lap. The gap had already crept down to just about 1.2 seconds. At the end of this lap, it's going to be considerably less than that. So the fight is on as we go on board with Shelton Vanderlinder. Dennis Olsen behind him, 8th, 9th and 10th Maro Engel. Lucas Stoltz in 11th, still trying to get up into the points in the yellow HRT Mercedes. As down to Ravazza goes, the championship leader. Just damage limitation here, but he'll shed that success ballast for tomorrow by not finishing in the top 3. So get what you can out of this race and then really go for it tomorrow. But Sheldon's going to keep his run of top 8s going. 2 wins, 2 other top 8 finishes already. Keeps the points trickling in, which is what you've really got to do this year. Get the odd win here and there, get the odd podium here and there, but keep scoring points. Start another lap. 4 minutes 13 seconds to go, and the gap from Van Der Linde to Bortolotti just 3 tenths of a second. So Bortolotti is almost underneath the rear wing now of Kelvin Van Der Linde. As we get a replay of Kelvin's brother, who's not really having to defend too hard yet from Dennis Olsen. He's got himself a bit of an advantage. And Bortolotti has gone through. He goes past the next check on the timing screen and he's through in 4th place on Kelvin Van Der Linde. So Bortolotti could get a podium out of this. He's only 9/10 of a second behind Thomas Preining with 3.5 minutes to go. What a result this is going to be if he can get his third podium finish, his third place finish of the season. So Van Der Linde falling back, nothing he could do really with his tyres old. And there is the new 4th place car of Mirko Bortolotti, and look how close he is to the Porsche and a podium finish here. Kelvin Van Der Linde falling away from him. 3 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Not totally outrageous to think he might even think about going for Nico Muller here. He's got that much more pace, but he is reeling in Thomas Preining. Tommy trying to hang on for his first podium in his 3rd weekend of DTM, but Bortolotti is coming for him now in the Lamborghini. Closes up on the way into Tamburello. They go left, they go right, he clips the curve, they go left again. The Porsche on much, much older tyres here will have less traction. It'll be harder to brake and slow the car down. The balance won't be as good. The Lamborghini absolutely on a charge here. Bortolotti, when he's in this kind of mood, he's fantastic to watch, isn't he? He's got to make that a very wide Porsche now, though, as Thomas Preining. And even then, it's going to be hard work. This coming out of the corners is where the traction is really going to be detrimental on those older tyres. And here comes Bortolotti up over the crest. He'll be patient, but not that patient, as he tries to find a way through. This, then, for a podium finish. We had that great battle with Maro Engel for a podium when he was on the comeback trail in the first weekend of the season at Portimao after the car bogged down on the restart, a race in which he had been leading comfortably up until the safety car period. And we know he'll go for it because he got that position on the last lap of the race, even though Maro in the end got a penalty anyway. But it was still fantastic to watch. Best part of the weekend that was. What a great battle we had. Right, Rivazza could be the opportunity that the Italian has been looking for. Thomas Preining, he's going to make life as hard as he can. He holds the inside line through the first part of the apex, and he stays there through the middle of the corner, gets on the gas, gets on the accelerator, but Bortolotti is gobbling him up here. 1.5 minutes to go, plus 1 lap for the final spot on the podium. Porsche versus Lamborghini, Austrian versus Italian. Can he get on the podium in his home race here from way back? 16th on the grid. He swings out wide on the way into Tamburello. The Porsche of Tommy Preining is just going to hold the inside line here. Doesn't over-defend. Getting on the gas is Bortolotti. He's got so much more traction. The car is much more reactive to him under these tyres. But still, Thomas Preining keeps him at bay. He's fighting for his life here, fighting for the silverware. It's been such a boost for Kuss Team Bernhard squad if they can get their first podium in DTM here with Thomas Preining. But Bortolotti is all over him now as they make their way out of the next turn. They're going to be absolutely side by side here as they climb the hill. Bortolotti is going to go for it down the inside, and he's onto the podium. So Bortolotti goes through. Preining tries to come back at him, but that was all he could do. It was a brave effort from Preining on much older tyres. But it was like trying to stop the tide and the waves of the sea crashing against you. You just can't win. Bortolotti, unstoppable. So fantastic effort from 16th to 3rd place. The tactic has worked beautifully. Gave themselves enough time. It was a really good pit stop as well, wasn't it, to get him out where they did in 8th place. And then he's forced his way through, picked them off one by one. And there he is in 3rd position. So the time has run out. René Rast comes through, goes over the line, and starts the final lap of the race. Nico Muller will be relieved, as you like, that this is going to be the final lap of the race, because we'll see that Lamborghini. It's 3.5 seconds behind, but he'll still be very pleased. There's not 2 or 3 more laps to go in this race, the way that he has been charging. So Rast is on course for his 25th career victory. Nico Muller, he's going to be on for his 2nd podium finish of the day in 2nd place, and a 4th DTM podium, a 3rd of the season for Mirko Bortolotti, who was the first ever driver to put a Lamborghini onto the podium when he drove for T3 Motorsport at Assen last year in a one-off weekend. So out of Tosa and through Piratella for the race leader, René Rast, who has been absolutely flawless. Abt Sportsline have delivered a great car for him. Big step forward from that first weekend at Portimao. And René Rast He's had a busy couple of weeks, hasn't he? Lausitzring, Nürburgring, Le Mans, and then here in Imola. First time racing at the circuit. He's about to become a race winner at the very first attempt. He makes his way out of Variante Alta for the final time. Goes over the crest, drops downhill. He can just roll it home now as he goes for one final time into Ravazza. There, Nico Müller will be relatively satisfied with second place, but disappointed with how far behind he is. But it's going to be the win for Rast.
That was a fantastic job, René.
Checkered flag. René Rast wins here at Imola. Round 5 of the championship. Nico Müller comes home second. Mirko Bortolotti third. What a drive. Yeah, fantastic. Don't forget to save your fuel, Mirko. Straight on to business. Oh, what a drive that was. That was 16th place to third. Drive of the day. You can see in the background there, Manuel Reuter, a Le Mans winner on 2 occasions. ITR champion, DTR championship runner-up. What a great man to have in the Grasser racing team, brought in by Gottfried Grasser this season as the team manager, Manuel Reuter. And they are big championship contenders with Mirko Bortolotti. If you can do that from where he started the race, well, what can we expect from him as the rest of the weekend goes on? But René Rast, add him to the list of key championship contenders. Started on the back foot a little bit at Portimao. He's on the front foot now, moving his way up the championship table. 25 points for the race win, 3 points for pole position. More than doubling his points tally in just a few hours here at Imola. René Rast wins, Nico Müller second, Mirko Bortolotti third, Thomas Preining, bittersweet. He should be very proud with his 4th place finish in only his 3rd weekend of DTM. It's his best result by far and for the team, but it was close to a podium finish, wasn't it? There wasn't much he could have done though. He won't be kicking himself because I don't think he did anything wrong. It was just a lightning drive and a great strategy all round from the Grasser racing team. So here in Imola, a charging drive from Mirko Bortolotti, but a controlled race win from René Rast. Rast wins, Müller second, Bortolotti third, Thomas Preining in 4th, Kelvin Van Der Linde in 5th place, Clement Schmidt 6th, Marco, and that's his best finish as well. Well done to Clement Schmidt, that was a good drive. Marco Vitterman coming home in 7th, Shelton Vanderlinder, the championship leader, picks up 8th despite the success ballast. Dennis Olsen in 9th, Maro Engel again in the points in 10th place. He keeps his run going. He fended off Lucas Stoltz late on. Philippe Eng was 12th. Laurens van Teur ends his run of finishing in the points in every race back in 13th. Nick Cassidy 14th. Rolf Inischen, despite the great qualifying, that contact with Arjun Maini ruined his race really. So 15th place in the end it was for him. Maini 16th, Zerg 17th, Buch in 18th, and Grenier and Gotts running out the top 20. Schumacher and De Leyde with the other finishers in 21st and 22nd. We lost Lucas Auer, we lost Ricardo Feller, Esteban Moot, Felipe Fraga, Dev Gore, and right at the first lap of the race, I'm afraid, we also lost Timo Glock. Incident between Thomas Preining and Mirko Bortolotti noted, it says on the screen. So we'll have a look at a couple of things back from that race. But what a drive it was from Mirko Bortolotti. Tremendous charge. And what, 8th to 3rd in just about 15 minutes, wasn't it, at the end of that race? Fastest lap as well. So he gets the 15 points for 3rd, plus the Auto Hero fastest lap of the race and the bonus point for that to move him on to 16 points for the race. And of course he closes the gap to the championship leader, Shelton Vanderlinder, who picked up 4 points and should be only 3 points behind him now in the championship table. Off the top of my head. We'll get confirmation of that though, but first let's enjoy the celebrations as René Rast completes the quarter century, 25 DTM race wins. So 3 championship titles from 4 seasons so far. Team congratulate him. Thomas Voigt there with the glasses, he looks after all the media for the team, capturing the moments on camera. Nico Müller is a multiple race winner, so he's never going to be overly happy with a 2nd place finish, but it's a good solid day. It's good solid points for him, and when you haven't quite got the pace to win, that's what you've got to do, pick up those points. Somebody with a pace to win there this weekend is this man. What a phenomenal drive from Mirko Bortolotti. We'll see his reaction as Rast and Muller, who were teammates a couple of weeks ago, get together. There is the reaction. You'd think he'd won the race. You'd think he'd won the championship. But it must feel like it. That's an awesome turnaround for the team. Oh, they love him and he loves them. He's had this great record with the Grasser Racing team. He hasn't won yet in DTM this season. Young Mr. Muller has come along as well. He was in the race car earlier on this weekend as well. So I'll be proud of Dad getting on the podium here at Imola. But Bortolotti's got this great record. Every season he has raced with the Grasser Racing team, he's taken at least one race victory. Hasn't come yet in 2022. He keeps driving like that. It will come. It will come. But it's the old master, René Rast, who brings it home to win by a very comfortable 3.8 seconds in the end. So really masterful, controlled drive, and to become the 4th different winner of the season. And it's also the biggest winning margin of the year so far at 3.8 seconds, 3/10 bigger than the gap when Shelton Vanderlinder won the first race at Lausitzring over Lucas Stoltz. Get those fluids on board. Drivers have earned their money today in this great heat of 32 degrees outside the car, but well over 60 degrees inside the car. And the team congratulate their man, the triple champion. Superb drive. Never really looked back, did he? Amp Sportsline, the winning team, and it's the team principal Thomas Beermar that's going to come up and collect the trophy. But look at the sweat dripping from him. 100% effort from Mirko Bortolotti to get himself, drag himself up onto that podium. Second place for Nico Muller. But the race winner, picking up the max points, is René Rast, the winning team that took him there, Abt Sportsline. And Thomas Beermeyer is now on his way. Here he comes to make his way onto the winning team's podium alongside the drivers. Here he is though, René Rast, welcomed up onto the podium. Gets congratulations from Mirko Bortolotti, Nico Muller and the boss, Thomas Beermeyer. So up onto the top step of the podium, René Rast, once again a race winner in DTM. The German national anthem then plays as the race winner, René Rast, takes the top step of the podium. We've had the Austrian national anthem, we've had the Swiss national anthem, we've had the South African national anthem twice, but it's the first time this year we've had the German national anthem as René Rast adds his name to the list of winners. Oh, it's Pierluigi Martino, another ex-Grand Prix racer here at San Marino, and it's him that presents the trophy, and that'll go straight to the top of the mantelpiece for Mirko Bortolotti. You might well count that as one of his best ever drives, even though it wasn't a race win. Certainly felt like it. Astonishing performance from Bortolotti. And we've now got the second place trophy. Well, that's not Riccardo Patrese, but second place trophy being presented. Riccardo is here. We've got some shots of him on the grid. And Nico Muller gets the second place trophy. Abt Sportsline are the winners of this fantastic trophy in the shape of the circuit. That's Giancarlo Minardi, who founded the Minardi Formula One team that brought up through so many young drivers into Formula One. Mark Webber, Fernando Alonso all started their F1 careers with Minardi. It's a special Minardi race day here coming up at Imola in a few weeks' time in the summer. And some historic machines, and Mr. Minardi to Mr. Rast presenting the final trophy. And it goes to René Rast. So the drivers will now pose together, along with Thomas Biermeier, for photos. And this is the calm before the storm, because then it's champagne time, and it's going to be carnage in a moment. And I suspect Mirko Bortolotti is going to go for the team once he gets that champagne popped. Here we go then, trophies down everybody, champagne up. René Rast gives it a good knock. No, Bortolotti fancies a swig, and I cannot blame him in this heat. Right, I've had my drink, now he's coming for the team. Off they go. They've already been soaking wet once this weekend at least, because I saw half of them in their paddling pool at the back of the garages yesterday, in their full overalls, getting absolutely dripping wet after a hot day at work here at Imola. Thomas Biermeier. It's always the representatives of the teams that get absolutely splattered by the drivers, isn't it? And Thomas Biermeier won't mind at all. For this moment, he will enjoy the moment that René Rast crossed the line, took the checkered flag, and took his first victory of the 2022 season, where they controlled drive by almost 4 seconds, winning the race. It was only really that first run through Tamburello when Nico Muller got a really good start and pushed him hard. But it's good, close, fair racing between the pair of them. Muller conceded the position, and Rast then went on to effectively lead all the other laps of the race, if you exclude those that made their pit stops late. So drivers' standings, and it is, crikey, 3 points now between Shelton Vanderlinder and Mirko Bortolotti in the championship. So I got that maths right for once. Nico Muller is third on 58. René Rast up to 4th place now on 49 points, ahead of Lucas Auer. He's moved ahead of Lucas Stoltz, and he's moved ahead of Maro Engel as well. So he's gone from 7th up to 4th place in the championship. Well, what a race it was. Let's get some reaction now down in the pit lane with Verena Vrit.
And here's the man who was really racing for his life, Mirko Bortolotti, from P16 to P3. You've got to be absolutely thrilled.
Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, at some stage before the race, we were even thinking about stopping the car, because there's no way to climb up the positions like that. So I really didn't believe in it. And yeah, we just opted to start on the tire from quali and go as long as possible. Hope for Fugo's yellow or something, and hope that everybody is in the pack in the meantime, and free track, and then new tires in the end. I think everyone saw that it made a huge difference, and I could push so hard, and I had a massive pace. So huge thanks to everybody at the team that made that strategy.
A perfect strategy, but quite frankly, when you did that one maneuver from P4 to P3, whew, that was a nail-biting moment.
Yeah, it was. I knew I can rotate the car a bit better with the fresher tire there, and I didn't expect him to hit me like that, because there was a room, and I didn't expect that. I know he's fighting for the podium. I know it's the first podium for him, but you should still stay fair in a fight like that and not hit your opponent. So I'm really not happy with what Thomas did. But I was actually not sure if I can finish the race, because the car started to feel really bad in the last 2 laps. But we deserve this podium, and I'm really happy with it.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Mirko. Thank you so much. We're going to try to grab René. Going to have René right here, the man who's been improving constantly. Hello, René. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel to have your victory in your pocket?
Amazing, amazing. Before the weekend, I didn't expect it, but obviously after qualify, we were hoping for a podium or actually a win. And today was just a perfect race. I mean, had a good start, a good pit stop, pace was good, so can't complain at all.
I mean, you were just way ahead of the pack, so it looked pretty easy. But quite frankly, with I think 70 degrees in the cockpit, even though you had your little aircon on. What did you do in the end? Did you have it on the whole time?
I was switching, sometimes off, sometimes on, depending on if Nico was getting closer. I was switching it off, and when I had a bigger gap, I switched it on again. But yeah, obviously, I was always kind of under pressure, always 3-4 seconds behind Nico. Nico was behind me, so I couldn't really relax. But obviously, it's much more easy if you are in front and don't have to fight. So I just had to stay on track and not make any mistakes. So this was my task today. I think we managed quite well today, so very happy.
You did a perfect race, but quite frankly, how tough was it out there? I mean, with weather, with everything, and everybody just fighting so hard.
It's tough. In the car it's very, very hot. Even though we have an air condition, it's not like in a road car that you can cool it down to 20 degrees. It's still like 40 or 50 degrees in there, and you fight the car every corner. So the car is just about to get loose and to spin away. So it's not that easy as it looks, but I think today we're everything under control.
And now also you're the third in the championship, and it's only the third race weekend. So from here anything is possible.
Nice. That sounds good. yeah. Obviously I didn't expect it, but it's still a long championship, and we move from race to race. Tomorrow 25 kilos of ballast for the win today. So I think tomorrow it's going to be more difficult than today.
All right. Well, congratulations. Thank you so much, René. And here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Well, 2 stars there. Mirko Bortolotti, what a drive it was from him. He couldn't quite believe it himself, could he? But some damage to the car after that contact as he came through on Thomas Preining to get the final spot on the podium. And we heard from your race winner, René Rast. Not going to be easy tomorrow. He says it's not as easy as it looks to win here, but you know what? It never looks easy. It's never easy in DTM. So the drivers, once they've done their media duties, will have a well-earned rest now. Schmidt Motorsport still at the top of the team's standings as well, which is another championship. Plus we've got the the manufacturers championship table as well, so these sub-championships which are also important on top of the drivers championship. Mirko Bortolotti then grabbing from nowhere 15 championship points that became 16 when he got the fastest lap of the race, and that scintillating final 12-13 minutes of the race where he overtook 5 cars to go from 8th up to 3rd position. Nico Muller in 2nd place, and there you see what René Rast was talking about the car, the balance of the car, hopping and skipping over these curbs and these multiple chicanes that we have around the anti-clockwise circuit here at Imola. René Rast rode the curbs to perfection, always looked in control, even had a bit of time to put some aircon on for some light relief inside the cockpit. I have to say, he looked pretty fresh when he got out of the car though. These drivers are super fit, using all their muscles, but all their focus and concentration as well, that they have to keep on top of during these very hot conditions. Audi, Mercedes and BMW, the top 3 in the manufacturer's standings. Lamborghini in 4th and Porsche in 5th. From me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box, that's it for today, but we're going to hand back now to Verena to wrap up things down in the pit lane.
And here's the man who finished in P2, Nico Müller. Nico, you were pushing and pushing and pushing, but I guess it wasn't, there was just no chance to overtake René, to come close. And also you said there was one point in the pit stop you were not absolutely pleased about, but 2nd place, does that make you happy?
Yeah, today it was the maximum, so we have to be happy with it. Just didn't quite have the pace of René all day long. Qualifying, he was that little bit quicker. In the race, I think at some stages we could keep up or maybe even put him a bit under pressure, especially in the first stint. But in the second stint, I struggled with my tires quite a lot, which usually, we are quite strong in that topic. Today we struggle a bit, so we have something to improve on for tomorrow. It's been very hard out there in the heat, and you not only feel it in tire wear, also in the cockpit. It's proper sauna. So I look forward to get a bit of a cool down now.
I bet. Well, thank you so much, and we're certainly looking forward to tomorrow's race. It's going to be hot once again, that's for sure. So join us tomorrow, and now here are the highlights. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.